welcome to Series 2 of World of Strange. I can't believe I'm doing a Series 2. It's unbelievable. Anyway, we are back, and we are back with 6 shiny new episodes where we'll be discussing everything weird, wonderful, and of course,
Series 2
strange.
What's happening?
We will be talking all things weird, wonderful, and strange. Yes, and we got a new item as well that we're putting in called Strange Facts. Yes, where there'll be 2 strange ones coming up during each episode, read out by 2 of our guests. So stand by for those. So, without further ado, let's introduce my wonderful guests here, who are going to be joining me on this ride. And we have Jake Wardle.
Hey, great to be back.
Wonderful to see you, Jake. We have Mr. Christophe Zajac-Denek. What a name.
Hey, y'all. Nice to see you again.
We have Stewart Strauss.
Feel like we're in the Hollywood Squares. Great to be back for a second season.
We have Jay Aaseng.
Hello. Happy to be here in the world of strange yet again.
We have Mr. John Pirruccello.
Well, hello, everybody.
Making her World of Strange debut. It's none other than Lisa Coronado.
Yay, hi, excited for my version run.
Hey! We are talking about, on this episode, we are talking about all things possession. Yes. All things about exorcisms and stuff and demonic possession. So that should be rather groovy. Let's go with our story. It's over to you, Lisa, please.
It's a world of strange.
Elizabeth Knapp. The possession of Elizabeth Knapp of Groton, Massachusetts was documented by Samuel Willard, a prominent preacher in the Puritan Massachusetts Bay Colony, from October 30th, 1671 until January 12th, 1672. More significantly, Willard sent letters to the Puritan minister Cotton Mather, who published an account of Elizabeth Knapp's possession in his Magnalia Christi Americana. Knapp, who was 16 at the time, was the daughter of a farmer and the servant in the house of Willard. The possession case of Elizabeth Knapp is unique and strange in that the aspect that it was documented and approached from a thoughtful and scientific aspect. Willard states that Knapp, at first, began to complain of pains throughout her body. She would grab certain body parts, such as her leg, breast, and neck, and yell out, particularly about strangulation. She would go through emotional fits, sometimes laughing to the point of hysterics, weeping or screaming out. Hallucinations then followed. Willard then documented that on the night of November 2nd, 1671, Knapp made a confession of meeting with the devil, a characteristic of most possession cases. She stated that for 3 years the devil met with her, promising her money, youth, ease from labor, and the ability to see the world. She then claimed that he had presented her with a book of blood covenants, which were signed by other women as well. She also said the devil had tried to get her to kill herself and others, Willard and his family included, but she could not do what he asked. She continued with fits and apparitions of the devil and various other spirits until the night of November 28th, in which she had a fit lasting for 48 hours. Afterwards, she was in a catatonic state until the night of December 8th, in which she made the confession that after being assaulted by the devil various times, she made the pact with him and allowed him into her bed. Willard's journal continued on to state that she, throughout the month of December, goes in and out of violent fits, one much worse than the next. She talks in a strange, deep voice and made animal sounds. It is also during these few weeks that Willard states the devil talked through her body, calling him a rogue minister. Willard's entries do not begin again until January 10th, 1672, where he writes that he met with Knapp again. She confessed to him that the devil had control of her body, and that he was much more powerful than she was. She stated that he also took hold of her speech, and she had no control of the things that she was saying. The next night she went into a fit of hysterical crying, and weeping in which she called for Willard's presence. After this night, Willard ends his documentation of the possession case, stating that he will leave it to those who are more learned and aged than he was. He stated on several occasions she spoke with her mouth closed, her throat would swell up like a balloon, and the voices that he heard were not her own. However, he said he has strong doubts about Knapp making a pact with the devil. This is because she is so contradictory about the facts, and what happened in her supposed meetings with the devil. Willard went on to give several powerful sermons in the village of Salem during the Salem witch trials in 1692, as well as discredited evidence of conviction for several women during the trials, stating that the trials should be held in a fair and legal way. After Willard stopped entries into his journal, it has been a historical mystery what happened to Knapp. However, her case has been cited and used as examples by various historians.
That does not sound like a good time.
Sounds like a movie.
Wow. Yeah. And this was in 1642,
1671.
A lot of contradictions.
Yeah, wild though.
Right? Like her throat blew up like a balloon, yet she wasn't possessed.
Yeah.
Strange.
Oh, sounds pretty scary to me.
What I don't understand is, why does the devil want her to kill herself and also others? Like, those two things seem at odds. Like, if you want to go out and do a lot of evil in the world, take possession of somebody and do evil. But if you have them kill themselves, then that's going to kind of stop your plans pretty quick. Okay, so this is the story that inspired the Exorcist novel and movie. At the age of 14, Ronald was introduced to the Ouija by his Aunt Tilly. Although a direct correlation between Ronald's possession and the Ouija board is never made, it was believed that the ghost of Aunt Tilly was one of the first spirits to visit Ronald. It wasn't long before this friendly spirit turned sinister. The family first noticed angry voices and the sound of furniture moving across the room. Not long afterwards, they began seeing claw marks on Ronald's body. That year, the family traveled to St. Louis, Missouri, believing that getting away from their home might end their troubles. While in St. Louis and noticing no change in Ronald's behavior, the family enlisted the help of Father Bishop, a Roman Catholic priest teaching at St. Louis University. According to his diary, when Father Bishop entered the home, he found Ronald lying on his bed, perfectly still, as the bed shook under him. The bed ceased moving once Father Bishop sprayed holy water on the boy. However, Ronald quickly began experiencing sharp pains in his stomach. His mother pulled back the covers to reveal a series of scratches. 2 days later, Father Bishop returned with Father Bowden from St. Francis Xavier College Church. Not long after entering the room and finding Ronald asleep, the case moved across the room. A few days later, St. Louis Archbishop Joseph Ritter gave the permission to carry out an exorcism on Ronald. So the next several days, the priest's prayers were met with violent actions and profanities, all emanating from the demonic presence they believed infected the boy. After a week of what must have been an incredibly stressful experience for Ronald, the family and priest agreed to take him to the psychiatric ward at Alexian Brothers Hospital. Once there, the rites of exorcism continued. Then, on Monday, April 18th, the day it made one last violent attempt at remaining inside Ronald before finally being expelled forever. Take that, Damon.
Well, yeah, I think that story, still the scariest.
I've never seen it.
Never seen The Exorcist, the original
No,
Exorcist?
I can't. It's too scary. I can't do it.
Well, you know what, though? It's only a movie. If you could sit through the first 20 minutes of Twin Peaks of Return, sit through The Exorcist.
That's different.
It's different when those heads are getting... That was pretty violent. But when you see the making of it, it's like, is that how they did that?
I just saw Hereditary and I couldn't sleep for a week, so I don't do well.
Okay, I honestly couldn't sleep after I saw The Exorcist in the movie. And I thought my bed was honestly moving. I really did. It was, no films ever had that kind of impact on me before.
Does it make a difference when you watch the film? Like, for instance, watching it alone at night or watching it during the daytime?
Oh my God.
Company, does that make a difference?
Yes, much better in the dark. With quiet. It had a good soundtrack to it too, as I recall.
I think possession movies, just in general, are terrifying because when you go to bed at night, you're just like, oh God, okay, is ghost gonna come do something? Like I have no defense.
It's an evil you don't know how to fight. So I think that's what makes it so much more terrifying.
Yeah, it's just that genre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very.
Strange facts.
In 2014, a woman on a vacation in Iceland was found when it was discovered that she was in the search party looking for herself. That is so ridiculous.
Oh my god.
You can't go looking.
Okay, the real-life murders at the Amityville house. The Amityville Horror, true story, reveals that on the night of November 13th, 1974, 23-year-old eldest son Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr., born September 26, 1951, shot his parents, two brothers and two sisters with a .35 caliber Marlin rifle while they slept. As Ronald Defoe Jr.'s defense attorney, William Weber, was trying to establish an insanity plea, DeFeo testified that he heard voices that told him to murder his family. Assistant District Attorney Gerard Sullivan made sure that the insanity plea didn't hold up, eventually convincing all 12 jurors to deliver a guilty verdict. In 2002, In a 2002 primetime live interview that Ronald DeFeo Jr. gave from prison, he recanted his testimony, explaining that his parents were abusive and he committed the murders while drunk and high on heroin. Ronald DeFeo Jr. is at Greenhaven Correctional Facility in Beekman, New York. On November 25th, 1975, he was convicted of 6 counts of second-degree murder and is there serving the 6 consecutive life sentences he was given. In December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz and their 3 children moved into the house. After 28 days, the Lutzes left the house claiming to have been terrorized by paranormal phenomena while living there. This later formed the basis for the Amityville Horror novel and movie and the sequel/prequel Amityville 2, The Possession. Well, there you go. It's I remember being very kind of taken in, I'm sure, as a lot of us were, by this Amityville story. In fact, that image of that house with those windows up there and the little piggy eyes are emblazoned in my memory forever, I think.
That movie, the movie, did nothing for me, I gotta say. I mean, after The Exorcist, and I was kind of saying earlier how much impact that actually had on me. Almost everything that followed it, and all of those, I maybe saw the first one, but never bothered with the sequels or anything.
I have to agree with you, Stewart. I as a 12-year-old, I read Blatty's Exorcist cover to cover, and I have like ADD, and I'm not a strong reader. I'm basically illiterate, but I couldn't put that book down. And I remember my mother calling me for dinner, and I was like up there just reading, and I was like, "I'll come later." It absolutely terrified me, and the movie terrified me. And I have to agree with you. I think there's something about that. There's something about people not being who they are, or having something inside them so they're not who you think they are or whatever. And especially when it's somebody who's like close to you, like a trusted person or something, that is much more terrifying to me than the idea of some ghosts in the house or something. Right. I have to agree with you. Yeah.
I mean, I laughed by the time I saw Psycho, for example. Just, of course, that's not the same thing, but by the time I saw it, I'd heard so much about it, I actually laughed at most of those scenes. Well,
that should tell us something, Stewart, that you're laughing at that movie. That might be some indication that I could see like psychotics around the world watching that movie. So it's Psycho to a psychotic is a rom-com, right?
I know. I mean, Norman had.
Look, his mom's in the tub. That's hilarious.
Anyway. I must admit, I laughed at The Exorcist when she started swearing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Did you ever Do you remember the? Did you ever see the Saturday Night Live sketch about it with Richard Pryor?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So great. Your mother sews socks that smell.
Was he like not afraid of her? I don't remember exactly.
Oh, he was. Pryor was terrified. Pryor was like, because they were in there. We have to do this. He's like, we got to get the fuck out of here. Like he was. Yeah. Pryor's character was like, let's leave now.
Yeah.
We're not gonna stay and do an exorcism. We're gonna go away. Yeah. So.
Yes, sure.
But yeah, the Amityville Horror. It was. I think since then, if I'm not wrong, that family has completely recanted all of that, right? They've all said that they made the whole thing up. Am I wrong about that? I think so.
I have no idea.
Or one of the kids did, or one of the kids claimed that it was all made up or something. There's been something like that.
Wow.
And I also think I just saw that the house just went up for sale again, like last year or early this year or something.
But that's a moneymaker.
It's kind of, it's an interesting idea. I mean, that's a known thing, right? Like if there's been a murder in the house, that it decreases the value of the house. But if it's like a famous murder, then what happens?
Exactly. An apartment that someone like Patty Hearst was absconded from, Yeah,
you know what? I used to live like 3 blocks from that apartment in Bernal Heights in San Francisco. Yeah.
My cousin,
right up the street from there.
On the street at the time.
Oh, wow.
He was going to Berkeley. Yeah.
So this story is The Possession. The Sam Raimi produced 2012 fright film The Possession centers on a young girl who falls under the control of a malevolent spirit that lives inside a cursed antique box. The story is based on an account of an allegedly haunted Dubuque box. Dubuque? Yeah, I think that's Dubuque box. A wine cabinet auctioned off on eBay that reportedly once belonged to a Polish Holocaust survivor named Havela. It contained 2 pennies from the 1020s, locks of hair, a statue engraved with the Hebrew word shalom, peace, a wine goblet, a dried rose, and a candle holder. Various owners of the box have reported paranormal incidents, including uncontrollable nightmares, strange smells such as jasmine and cat urine, unexplained health issues, burned out lights, and more. Believing the object contained a malicious Jewish mythology spirit, the Dubuque, the box was apparently sealed forever by rabbis and hidden in a secret location. Also weird, the Possession's director, Ole Bornadil, reported strange incidents, including an unexplained fire that burned down the prop warehouse containing the movie's set 5 days after filming Wrapped. Well, there you go.
It's always the presence of people then keeping something secret or stashing something away, or it's always odd to me like that. That's I don't know, like what is that pattern?
Yeah, it's a common theme,
right? And they hid it away because the general public couldn't handle it.
Does that maybe go back to Edgar Allan Poe with the heart beating and through the floor?
Under the floorboards?
Yes. That same sort of thing. I mean, something hidden.
Right. Yeah, but that heart, how did the heartbeat get there? Had the heart get under the floor? I don't remember.
Read it or something like that.
The character what?
Wasn't it after murder, more or less? Or, he probably...
Yeah, because it was like hubris, right? It was his conscience or whatever, knocking at him, right? But, so he created it himself, is what you're saying? I don't remember. It's been like high school.
Well, I think it would have been, like his own conscience driving, to see that or hear that.
Yeah. But that isn't that, I mean, like in this case, the sort of story goes that like these rabbis buried this thing and hid it away. I don't know. Or like, the Mormons or whatever, those tablets were buried in the hills and upstate New York.
What about the Raiders of the Lost Ark? Or they?
There you go. There you go.
The Holy Grail.
There you go.
The fact that this, the
Grand prize, right?
the prop warehouse was burned down 5 days after filming wrapped. I mean, that's both
Really?
that's both and that's both a good thing and a bad thing, because it's like it's a good thing that at least they wrapped before it burned down.
The Raiders or the Lost Ark? Or?
No, the story that I told.
Oh.
Possession.
Sorry about
Possession.
that. Possession.
I'm just like, 5 days after filming wrapped. It's like, well, that was very generous of the
malevolent spirit.
Right. Yeah, to at least wait until they finish the film before burning all the props. But at the same time, it sucks because still burned down, didn't it? That's
well, and if nobody was hurt, then I guess that's better than the other thing.
They just wanted to send a message.
That's
they
right.
didn't want to mess things up.
Anytime we want, we can take you out anytime we want. So just keep that in mind.
It's like we were feeling generous on this.
That's
day.
right. You're welcome.
We waited 5 whole days. 5 whole days after that. Still in post-production. At least we didn't burn the editing facility down. Also, no one's going to mention about the jasmine and cat urine.
Oh, well, hey, I mean, the combination of the two has been some good. Really. I mean, you know what, skunk weed can smell like, and jasmine is a really popular scent and actually a calming scent. So you need to produce some candles, some jasmine and cat urine candles. There you go.
Brand them.
Boy, what a marketing thing that could be.
That's right.
From the world of strange, Frank. I mean, on your show.
The funny thing is that would absolutely catch on if you did that, Frank. If you made cat urine and jasmine, World of Strange cat urine and jasmine candles, and got those on the internet.
If you run out of cat urine, you
sell them on my website. Sell them on my website. I'm not selling anything else.
It's a world of strange.
So the story goes, Michael Taylor lived in Aaseng, West Yorkshire, England, with his family. He joined a church group, but shortly after began acting strangely. He reportedly felt an evil presence overtake him. It was decided Michael's soul should undergo an exorcism, which lasted 8 hours. Spitting, screaming, biting, and scratching, Michael had to be tied to the floor as crucifixes were put in his mouth, and he was doused in holy water. The priests claimed 40 demons inhabited Michael's soul. With all parties exhausted, the exorcism was drawn to a close prematurely, since the priests warned 3 demons were still inside Michael and wouldn't leave: insanity, anger, and murder. Tragically, 2 hours later, Michael savagely murdered his wife, Christine, and the family dog. Leaving his home covered in blood, Michael screamed, "It's the blood of Satan," over and over. At the start of his 1975 trial, the judge warned jurors the case would take them back to the Middle Ages. Michael Taylor was found not guilty of murder by reason of insanity, and was eventually detained in a secure psychiatric ward at Broadmoor before his release.
Strange facts.
People can suffer from a psychological condition called boanthropy that makes them believe they are a cow. Yep.
Well,
there's a name for it.
Unfortunate. Yeah. There's a name for it. There's a name for it. Who knew all this time, Jake? Right? Oh my God, there's actually a name for it.
I'm wondering, is there a name for where do you draw? What about someone who believes that they're a dog? Is there a name for that? Well, what if someone believes they're a chair? Is there a different name for that?
You guys know the reference?
There's people who believe their things, I think.
And the pronunciation in brackets, boanthropy. I'm not sure many listeners would know how it's pronounced anyway.
Well, figure out what the pronunciation is,
research
right? And then once they're in there,
Which makes this an educational show.
Let's hope so. You kind of hope all shit on some. I don't know. I like to come away from something better than I went into it, or more learn it, or whatever. I like that. Yeah, I like when that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. In 1975, 23-year-old German woman, Anneliese Elisabeth Michel, underwent a Catholic exorcism that would eventually lead to her death a year later from malnutrition and dehydration. The priest responsible for the exorcism and Anneliese's parents were found guilty of negligent homicide. At 16, Anneliese was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. In 1970, she suffered a seizure and was prescribed medication. Soon after, she began complaining of seeing devil faces and hearing voices telling her she was damned and would rot in hell. Anyway, Anneliese then began self-harming, drank her urine, and ate insects, as well as showing lots of aggression. A priest said she was possessed by a demon. After her first exorcism in 1975, her parents stopped medical treatment. After 67 sessions over 10 months, Anneliese died, having been in a semi-starvation state for a year and unable to move from broken legs. Anyway, this tragic story was partly the inspiration for the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Now, I saw that movie, and again, it's like, well, it was good. It had its moments. But if it, was really a true story, hey, look, I don't really, buy into most anything that comes out of kind of religious belief. I mean, not to give too much, but you're getting, not to discuss religion so much. But almost anything fear-based was based on the fear of God. God's going to strike you down. He's going to burn you. You're, whatever it may be. And so I kind of, what's the devil? That's where you're going to go. You're going to go rot in hell. So, I don't really buy into any of that mythology.
Well, but that mythology, it's semantics. I think sometimes. I mean, the devil is your ego self, and God is your higher self. The collective conscience. I mean, there's the religion. There's the Christian, Judeo-Christian one that you're referring to now, certainly, and probably most, if not all of them. I don't study religion, so I don't know, but I'm guessing are sort of addressing the same things those same things, the higher self, the ego self, and
way of explaining.
Yeah. And so it's sort of like there's
metaphors.
I think so. So I don't know. I don't know that it's anyway. We won't have to get into a religious discussion, but I feel like anyway. It's tough to find meaning in life, but you kind of have to. It sort of seems like that's important to do that, and so I think some of these fear-based things are trying to do that. They're trying to shake you into consciousness.
Well, I mean, those movies when they work scare me to death too. Even if it's just for a minute or two. So
did you see that what's his name that direct
Friedkin?
Friedkin, yeah, that Friedkin did you see he did a documentary where he went back?
Yeah.
Where he went. It's amazing. I mean, you should watch it, especially as a fan of that movie and of those stories where he goes to like Rome and there's this woman that's possessed and they have it on camera, and it's it's a little corny. There's a bunch of he kind of is surprise is a kind of a drama queen, but But it's, I don't know. If you like that kind of stuff, possession stuff, I would suggest seeing it.
I think I will. I will definitely see it. In fact, like I was saying, Frank just made me aware of it this morning. And I watched the trailer, so I saw that today for the first time. Didn't know it existed until today. Yeah, I'd like to see it. Why not?
I mean, part of you kind of have to look past the structure of it, because I find that filmmakers are by and large really bad at making documentaries. They have no idea how to do that.
Put too much of themselves in it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Stewart. They put too much of themselves in it, But if you kind of try to look past that and look at the sort of more of the stuff that you're alluding to, and what kind of, I was thinking about, like, what would you make of that girl's situation if not for a Judeo-Christian construct? If that wasn't there for you to refer to, what would you, let's say we could just snap our fingers and religion was gone. Like, what would you make of her? Would you be more compassionate, less compassionate? Would the fear still be? I mean, I tend to think that, we're sort of basically fearful, species, and we're like all cavemen or whatever, we would probably, kill her or something.
Well, it's either you have more, I think I'd have more compassion.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
As a mental disability, perhaps, or
but I mean, but go all the way. Just erase all of that and erase even the idea of studying, the mind. And like, all you're doing is, none of that. You don't know religion. You don't know science. You don't know any of that. And you're looking at this person who's like freaking out. What are you going to think?
Yeah, probably whatever your elders or the, priest or whoever it would be, rabbi, might be telling you it is, or a council, of, it's kind of how it works in the Jewish religion, right? It would be a council of 12 even, and then they would kind of come back and say, well, this is, what the Bible, the way we interpret the Bible, or this is what the Bible's going to say when we write it,
All right. Well, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. Thanks, Frank.